The Kremlin attacked freedom of speech long before the invasion of Ukraine. In fact, the capture of large media by the state began with the coming to power of Vladimir Putin in 2000. And after the protests in 2011, the Russian authorities stepped up pressure on the press and passed a number of repressive laws. As a result, according to research by MBH Media, a quarter of all Russian media outlets, TV channels, magazines, newspapers and internet resources have been closed in 8 years. Last year, every 6 mass media in Russia was state-owned. To create the necessary picture for the Kremlin, the sociological services were also taken under control.
So, I took part in the poll of the Russian Public Opinion Research Center or something similar. I finally understand why the answers of citizens are sometimes frankly insane, and the percentages are amazing. Question: what issues concern you as a citizen of the country? I answer: I am very worried about the war, and I want it to stop immediately. Operators answer: there is no such opinion, please choose from the available ones. Then there were more questions about what I am dissatisfied with. I say that I am dissatisfied with the government, with the authorities, with the president in particular. You have already guessed right? There is no such answer. Konstantin, Moscow resident, on Twitter.
Now, with Putin's regime weakened by the failures in Ukraine, the Kremlin has effectively banned any information that differs from the official one. But after the announcement of mobilization, the war literally came to the house of the Russians. Now it's no longer possible to cover up the truth with gloss. According to experts, the discrepancy between propaganda and reality will accelerate the fall of Putin's power.
The dissonance of the information picture will only aggravate this situation. That is, the information situation itself will not be a trigger. It will be a concomitant factor, but the process is important, and this is what is happening in Russia now. This is a growing gap between the real state of affairs, especially on the front line, and how it is portrayed by federal TV channels and the official media. Volodymyr Fesenko, political scientist.
Putin's government is trying to lower a new information iron curtain, following the example of the USSR. Thus, the Russian oligarch and owner of Wagner private military company Yevgeny Prigozhin demanded the prosecutor general's office to block YouTube in Russia. Before that, Facebook and Instagram were banned. But despite all these restrictions, Russians can get truthful information on the internet. To protect themselves from persecution, those independent journalists who have not left the Russian Federation unite in groups and remain anonymous.
We discussed in detail the methods of communication with them, which we consider relatively safe. The topics we are going to cover are very different. One way or another, it will be problem-oriented journalism. We intend to talk about those problems that are different in each region, but at the same time concern everyone.
With the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, many Russians began to look for alternative sources of information. Thus, according to a study by the international advertising group Group M, in the spring of this year, the level of trust in television in the Federation has significantly decreased, while in social networks, on the contrary, it has increased. And with the beginning of mobilization, news channels on Telegram recorded an increase in the audience. Reported by Serhiy Kulas, Danilo Kobza, UATV News.